How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, June 3rd, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Wednesday, June 2nd, as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time as we preview today's matchups and exhibitions as well. Starting off in the NBA, there were 4 playoff matches. Coming into yesterday, there were 2 teams eliminated and 14 teams left competing for the 2021 NBA Finals. Waking up today, that number is now 11. There are now 11 teams that are competing for the playoffs now after 3 teams were eliminated last night. Starting off in Philadelphia, it was the Eastern Conference's 1-8 matchup, whereas the first place Philadelphia 76ers hosted the 8th place Washington Wizards, who of course had to play their way into the tournament after losing to the Celtics initially, then beating the Pacers in the second play-in game to make it here. In this matchup, the Sixers would end up outscoring the Wizards 129-112, as the Sixers outscored the Wizards by 7 in the third quarter and by 8 in the fourth, by 15 in the second half, effectively ending the Washington Wizards season last night. For the Wizards in their final game of the 2020-2021 campaign, their leading scorer was their elite starting shooting guard out of Florida, Bradley Beal. Beal finished with 32 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes, as he shot 10 for 23 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 10 for 10 from the line. Alongside him in the starting lineup, their elite starting point guard, the triple-double king, Russell Westbrook, finished with 24 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 7 for 20 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 8 for 10 from the line on the night. And then their starting power forward out of Gonzaga, Rui Hachimura, would finish with 21 points and 6 rebounds in 43 minutes. He shot 8 for 13 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. For the first seed Philadelphia 76ers in this matchup, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard, Seth Curry. Curry finished with 30 points in 31 minutes. He shot 10 for 17 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 7 from the foul line on the night. Their starting power forward, Tobias Harris, would finish with 28 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field and 8 for 10 from the foul line on the night. And then last but not least, their elite starting point guard, Ben Simmons out of LSU, would finish with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 blocks in 39 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field and 5 for 8 from the foul line on the night. With this win, the first seed Philadelphia 76ers were the third team from the Eastern Conference to clinch a playoff spot. And of course, going in, they would have to face off against the winner of the 4th seed New York Knicks and the 5th seed Atlanta Hawks. And with this loss, the Washington Wizards were effectively eliminated from the playoffs last night. They were the third team to be eliminated. But looking out to the second game of last night, the New York Knicks were very short behind their tail. In this matchup, the 4th seed New York Knicks hosted the 5th seed Atlanta Hawks for Game 5. And in this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks would beat the Knicks 103-89. The big difference being the middle 2 quarters, where the Hawks outscored the Knicks by 5 in the second and by 7 in the third. For the New York Knicks, in their final game of the 2020-2021 campaign, their leading scorer would end up being their all-star starting power forward out of Kentucky, Julius Randle. Randle finished with 23 points and 13 rebounds and 3 assists as well, alongside 8 turnovers in 37 minutes. Julius Randle would shoot 8 for 21 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. The 2021 NBA's most improved player was the only player on the Knicks with more than 20 points on the day yesterday. And for the Atlanta Hawks, their leading scorer would end up being their elite starting point guard, Trae Young. Trae Young would finish with 36 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals in 41 minutes. Trae would shoot 10 for 28 from the field, 3 for 11 from 3, and 13 for 15 from the foul line. With this win, the 5th seed Atlanta Hawks would have won this series in 5 games, winning the series 4-1, the only game they lost being Game 2. With this win, they will advance to face off against the 1 seed Philadelphia 76ers as soon as that series starts. And that, of course, they are the 4th and final team from the Eastern Conference Finals to clinched their way through into the second round, whereas when they ended that game, not a single team in the West had clinched. With this loss, the New York Knicks are effectively the fourth team that have been eliminated from the 2021 NBA playoffs, the fourth team from the East to be eliminated as well. Their season will start back up in about October, November, as this is the last game they're going to play for a while. Jumping out to the third game of the night, it was the Western Conference's 1-8 matchup as the 1-seed Utah Jazz hosted the 8-seed Memphis Grizzlies, who of course made it into this round after beating the San Antonio Spurs in the first game of them by beating the Golden State Warriors in the play-in game to make it here. In their final game of the 2021 playoff campaign, the Grizzlies would end up getting beat by the Jazz. The Jazz would beat the Grizzlies 126-110. The Jazz outscored the Grizzlies by 20 points in the first half and virtually carried that momentum out through the rest of the game. The Grizzlies tried to come back in the fourth, but it simply wouldn't be enough. In the Memphis Grizzlies' final campaign of the 2020-21 campaign, they had two players, a tie for the team high in points. Their elite starting point guard, Ja Morant, out of Murray State, would finish with 27 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists, and 5 turnovers in 40 minutes. He shot 11 for 22 from the field and 5 for 9 from 3. And then their starting small forward out of Oregon, Dylan Brooks, would finish with 27 points and 5 rebounds in 40 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. And then for the Utah Jazz, the top seed, the team that finished with the best record in the NBA on the season, their leading scorer would end up being their elite starting shooting guard out of Louisville, Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell finished with 30 points, 6 rebounds, and 10 assists in 29 minutes. He shot 11 for 16 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Off the bench, their point guard, the NBA Sixth Man of the Year, Jordan Clarkson, would finish with 24 points and 2 steals in 31 minutes. He shot 9 for 20 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line on the night. Back in the starting lineup, their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 23 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, and 3 blocks in 33 minutes. The Stifle Tower would shoot 10 for 13 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. And then also in the starting lineup, their all-star starting point guard, Mike Conley, would finish with 7 points and 2 assists in 12 minutes. He shot 3 for 4 from the field and 1 for 1 from 3 on the night. With this win, the first seed Utah Jazz have effectively won this series against the 8th seed Memphis Grizzlies 4-1. They are the very first team out of the Western Conference to advance to the second round. And with this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies they were the third team of the night to be eliminated. They are the 5th team of the playoffs to be eliminated, the first team in the Western Conference to get eliminated. So that's about where they are. And as we move forward to the final game of the night, jumping out to Staples Center, it was the Western Conference's 4-5 matchup as the 4-seed Los Angeles Clippers hosted the 5th seed Dallas Mavericks. Coming into this game, the series was tied at 2, and the 5th seed Dallas Mavericks would end up beating the 4th seed LA Clippers 105-100. The big difference was the third quarter, where the Mavericks outscored the Clippers by 12. For the Los Angeles Clippers in this particular matchup, their leading scorer would end up being their elite starting shooting guard out of Fresno State, Paul George. He would finish with 23 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 blocks in 39 minutes. He would go on to shoot 7 for 15 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Their goated starting small forward out of San Diego State, Kawhi Leonard, would finish with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, and 5 turnovers in 42 minutes. Kawhi would shoot 7 for 19 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. And then also in the starting lineup, their starting point guard, Reggie Jackson, would finish with 20 points in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field and 6 for 12 from 3. For the Dallas Mavericks, their leading scorer would end up being their elite starting point guard, Luka Doncic. Doncic finished with 42 points, 8 rebounds, and 14 rebounds in a playoff game nonetheless. He did all this. He scored 42 points in 43 minutes. He shot 17 for 37 from the field on the night, 6 for 12 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. And then also in the starting lineup, their starting small forward, Tim Hardaway Jr., would finish with 20 points and 7 rebounds in 45 minutes. He shot 6 for 19 from the field and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the 5th seed Dallas Mavericks have taken a 3-2 series lead over the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers. The series still remains alive as the Dallas Mavericks are now one win away from clinching a spot in the second round. Game 6 will be tomorrow on ESPN, just to give a little bit of context as to how that's going down. And Game 6 will be played in Dallas, as this was the only game that was played yesterday that's going to have a Game 6. Right now, that's where we are in the NBA, as now 11 teams are left competing for an NBA title. Looking out to what's going on tomorrow in the title hunt, there are going to be two playoff games today as they take place in the West. At 8 o'clock on TNT, it will be the Western Conference's 3-6 matchup as the 6th seed Portland Trailblazers host the 3rd seed Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets currently lead this series 3-2 as the Blazers are looking to even up the series at home and force a Game 7. And following that game at 10:30 on TNT, it will be the Western Conference's 2-7 matchup as the 7th seed defending champs Los Angeles Lakers without Anthony Davis look to host the Phoenix Suns with their best players still on the team. Right now, that's going to be a big game to look out for. The Suns could end the Lakers with this game today. And same with the Nuggets can end the Trailblazers today. One or two teams could very effectively be eliminated today. And that's what's going on with the playoffs in the NBA. Staying within the context of the playoffs, but of course, playoffs in the arena, but shifting it to the ice, taking a look at what's going on with the Stanley Cup Playoff at the very moment. Right now, the Stanley Cup Playoff is in the second round of its tournament. Starting off in the North Division, the 3-seed Winnipeg Jets hosted the 4th-seed Montreal Canadiens, and the Canadiens were able to beat the Jets in Game 1 to take a 1-0 series lead after scoring 3 goals in the first period by themselves. With this win, the 4th-seed Montreal Canadiens now hold a 1-0 series lead over the 3rd-seed Winnipeg Jets at the moment. And the second game was the Western Divisional Final. It took place between the 1-seed Colorado Avalanche and the 2nd-seed Las Vegas Golden Knights. In this matchup, the 1st-seed Avalanche would beat the 2nd-seed Golden Knights 3-2 off of an overtime goal. With this win, the top-seed Colorado Avalanche now lead this series 2-0 as Game 3 will be played in Las Vegas as the Golden Knights have to fight back from behind to get back in this series. That's everything those are the two games from yesterday. Looking forward to what's going on today. Starting at 7:30 on NBC Sports Network, it is the East Division. Final as the 4-seed New York Islanders host the 3-seed Boston Bruins. That's about what that's up to right now. That series is tied at 1. This game will be played in New York as the next two games. The Islanders look to try to get an advantage over Boston before the series goes back there. And then 30 minutes after that at 8 o'clock on USA, it will be the Central Divisional Final as the 3rd seed defending champs Tampa Bay Lightning, who have a 2-0 series in the series, by the way, are going to host the 1 seed Carolina Hurricanes. The Lightning look to extend their 2-0 series lead at home as they very well could close this series out at home and clinch a spot for themselves in the Stanley Cup semifinals. Right now, that's what's going on in the world of hockey as it pertains to today. And last but not least, jumping to the MLB to check out what's going on out there. I do not believe there were any double headers of note yesterday. So with that said, getting started in Wrigley, the Chicago Cubs hosted the San Diego Padres and were able to pull off a 6-1 win after the Padres scored the very first run of the game. For the Padres, the start would go to Dinelson Lamet. Lamet would allow 1 earned run in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 6. The loss would go to the Padres' first relief pitcher, Pierce Johnson. Johnson would allow 2 earned runs in .2 innings pitched as he struck out only 1 on the day. With this loss, Pierce Johnson is now 1-2 as a relief pitcher this year. In their batting lineup, no one on the team would finish with more than 1 hit, and a lot of that can be attributed to great Cubs pitching. The start and the win went to Adbert Alzolay for Chicago. He allowed 1 earned run in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 7. With this win, Adbert Alzolay is 4-4 as a starting pitcher for the Cubs this year. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Anthony Rizzo, would go 3-4 with 2 RBIs and a run. Their elite shortstop, Javier Baez, would go 1-2 with 2 RBIs and a run as he had his 14th home run of the year. Rizzo was the only player with more than one hit, and Baez was the only player with a home run. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are now 32-23. That is the best record in the National League Central. They now sit a game and a half ahead of the second place St. Louis Cardinals in the division. The Cubs have now won 9 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 34-23. That is the second best record in the National League West. They now sit 1 game behind the San Francisco Giants in the division. The Padres have now lost 6 of their last 10 games. And this is the team that was sitting at the very top of the major leagues for a second. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the New York Mets. The Mets were able to beat the Diamondbacks 7-6. Their 7th run coming in the top of the ninth off of an RBI single from their elite first baseman Pete Alonso. For the Arizona Diamondbacks in this matchup, the start went to Madison Bumgarner, the World Series hero. He would go on to allow 5 earned runs in 2 innings pitched as he struck out 2. The loss would end up going to their closer, Joakim Soria. Joakim Soria would allow no earned runs, but 1 total run in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. With this loss, he is 0-1 as a relief pitcher on the season. In their batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their second baseman, Ildemaro Vargas. Sorry if I butchered your name. Ildemaro Vargas would end up going 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs on the day. And then for the New York Mets, the start went to David Peterson. He allowed 5 earned runs in .1 innings pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter. The win, however, would go to the New York Mets' third relief pitcher, Miguel Castro. Castro would allow no earned runs in 2 innings pitched. With this win, Castro is now 2-1, and the save would go to their closer, Edwin Diaz, who allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 1. Edwin Diaz now has 10 saves on the year. In their batting lineup, their third baseman, Jonathan Villar, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 runs on the day. Their elite shortstop, Francisco Lindor, would go 3 for 5 with 2 runs. Their catcher, James McCann, will go 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit his 4th home run of the season. Their elite first baseman, Pete Alonso, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run. Their center fielder, Kevin Pillar, would end up going 2 for 5 with a run. And then their left fielder, Dominic Smith, would go 3 for 4 on the day. With this win, the New York Mets are now 27-21. That is the best record in the National League East. They now sit 4.5 games ahead of the second place Philadelphia Phillies and the third place Atlanta Braves in the division. The New York Mets have now won 6 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 20-37. That is the worst record in the National League West. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 15 games in the division. The Diamondbacks have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles hosted the Minnesota Twins. The Orioles were able to pull off a 6-3 win after the Twins scored the very first run of the game. For the Twins, the start and the loss would go to Randy Dobnak. Dobnak would allow 3 earned runs in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3 on the day. With this loss, Randy Dobnak is 1-5 as a relief pitcher for Minnesota. The only player with more than 1 hit for the Minnesota Twins was their catcher, Ryan Jeffers. Jeffers would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his first triple of the season, and he hit his first home run of the season as well. For the Baltimore Orioles in this matchup, the start went to Matt Harvey. Harvey allowed 1 earned run in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The win would go to their first relief pitcher, Tyler Wells. Wells allowed no earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 2. Tyler Wells is now 1-0 as a relief pitcher for Baltimore this season. In their batting lineup, their left fielder, DJ Stewart, will go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he walked as well. DJ Stewart was able to hit his 6th home run of the season yesterday. Their first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, will go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the season as well. Their third baseman, Michael Franco, will go 2 for 4, and then their second baseman, who in this matchup was Stevie Wilkerson, would end up going 2 for 4 on the day. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are 19-37. That is the worst record in the American League East. That is actually the worst record in the American League, and that is the worst record in all of the major leagues. They now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 15.5 games in the American League East, and they have now won 2 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now 22-33. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They now trail the Chicago White Sox by 11 games in the division. The Minnesota Twins have now lost 4 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Yankee Stadium, the New York Yankees hosted the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Yankees were able to beat the Rays 4-3 as they scored all 4 of their runs in the first 4 innings. For the Tampa Bay Rays, the start and the loss would end up going to Shane McClanahan. McClanahan would allow 4 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this loss, McClanahan is 2-1 on the season. The only player to finish with more than 1 hit was their second baseman, Mike Brasso. Mike Brasso would go 2 for 3 on the day. For the New York Yankees, the start and the win would go to Jordan Montgomery. He allowed 1 earned run in 6.1 innings pitched as he struck out 6. With this win, Jordan Montgomery is 3-1 as a starting pitcher on the season. And then the save would go to their closer, Aroldis Chapman. Chapman would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 2 and also walked 2. He picked up his 12th save of the year. And then the Yankees batting lineup, their third baseman, Gio Urshela, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 6th home run of the season. And then their elite shortstop, Gleyber Torres, would go 2 for 3 with a run on the day. With this win, the New York Yankees are now 31-25. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East. They now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 3.5 games in the division. The Yankees have now won 4 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Tampa Bay Rays are now 35-22. That is still the best record in the American League East, the best record in the American League, and they are one loss. I guess they have one more win and one more loss than the San Francisco Giants, have the best win percentage in all of baseball. In the American League East, they now sit 2 games ahead of the second-place Boston Red Sox, and the Rays have now lost 3 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Buffalo, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Miami Marlins as the Blue Jays were able to pull off a 6-5 win. Thanks to scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th, they won off of a Joe Panic sacrifice fly. For the Miami Marlins in this matchup, the start went to Pablo Lopez. Lopez would allow 2 earned runs in 4 innings pitched as he struck out 9 on the day. The loss, however, would end up going to their closer, Yimi Garcia, who also blew his 2nd save of the year. He allowed 3 earned runs in .1 inning pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, Yimi Garcia is 3-4 as a relief pitcher on the year for Miami, and the only player for the Marlins with more than 1 hit was their left fielder, Cody Dickerson. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as he hit his 2nd home run of the season. For the Toronto Blue Jays, the start would end up going to their starting pitcher, Alek Manoah. Manoah would allow 4 earned runs in 3.1 innings pitched as he struck out 5. The win would go to their closer, Anthony Castro. Castro would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched, and he was unable to strike out a batter. Nonetheless, Castro is 1-1 as a relief pitcher on the season. They had 2 players with more than 1 hit on the day. Their center fielder, Randall Grichuk, will go 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he had his 10th and 11th home runs of the season. And alongside him, their left fielder, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., would end up going 2 for 4 on the day as he struck out twice. With this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 29-25. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 4.5 games in the division. The Blue Jays have now won 6 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Miami Marlins are now 24-30. That is the 4th best record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 6 games in the division. The Marlins have now lost 6 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Atlanta, the Atlanta Braves hosted the Washington Nationals, and the score was tied at 3 going into the 8th inning as the Nationals would score a run in the 8th and the 9th to beat the Braves 5-3, picking up their 23rd win of the season. For the Atlanta Braves, the start went to Drew Smyly, who allowed 3 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched as he struck out 6. The loss would go to their 3rd relief pitcher, A.J. Minter. He allowed 1 earned run in 1 inning pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, he is now 1-2 as a relief pitcher this year. And then in their batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Ozzie Albies, would be the only player with more than 1 hit. He went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. And then for the Washington Nationals, the start went to John Lester. Lester allowed 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3. The win would go to their 2nd relief pitcher, Daniel Hudson. Daniel Hudson would allow no earned runs in 1.1 inning pitched as he struck out 3. He would blow his very first save of the season, but with this win, he is now 4-1 as a relief pitcher on the season. And the save would go to Brad Hand, who allowed no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. That's his 9th save of the year. In their batting lineup, their shortstop, Trey Turner, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI. Their catcher, Yan Gomes, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their elite right fielder, Juan Soto, would go 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run as he would hit his 6th home run of the season. Gomes would hit his 5th home run of the season. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 23-29. That is the worst record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 6 games in the division, and the Nationals have now won 4 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 25-28. That is the 3rd best record in the National League East. They now trail the New York Mets by 4.5 games in the division. The Braves have now lost 5 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Houston, the Houston Astros hosted the Boston Red Sox, and the Astros were able to beat the Red Sox 2-1. As the Red Sox actually scored the very first run of the game in the very first inning, but they were shut out for the rest, and their only score came off of a walk. For the Red Sox in this matchup, the start and the loss went to Nick Pivetta. Pivetta would allow 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 9 on the day. In their batting lineup, their third baseman, Rafael Devers, would go 2 for 4, and the only other player with more than 1 hit on the team was their second baseman, Christian Arroyo, who went 2 for 4 on the day. For the Houston Astros, the start and the win would end up going to their starting pitcher, Framber Valdez. Valdez would allow 1 earned run in 7 innings pitched as he struck out 10. With this win, he is now 1-0 as a starting pitcher on the season. And the save, however, will go to the Astros' second relief pitcher, Ryan Presley. Presley would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 1. That's his 8th save of the year. In their batting lineup, their right fielder, Kyle Tucker, will go 2 for 3 with a run. And with this win, the Houston Astros are now 31-24. That is the 2nd best record in the American League West. They now trail the Oakland Athletics by half a game in the division. The Astros have now won 5 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Boston Red Sox are now 32-23. That is the 2nd best record in the American League East. They now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 2 games in the division. The Red Sox have now lost 5 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Denver, the Colorado Rockies hosted the Texas Rangers, and the Rockies were able to beat the Rangers 6-3 after coming back from being down 3-2, scoring 2 runs in the 6th to take the lead. And then it was a Ramil Tapia double that put them up, and then it was 2 runs in the 8th to make their lead 3. For the Texas Rangers in this matchup, the start would end up going to Jordan Lyles. Jordan Lyles would allow 3 earned runs in 5 innings pitched as he struck out 2 on the day. The loss and the blown save would go to their first relief pitcher, DeMarcus Evans. Evans would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitched as he blew his first save of the year. He is now 0-1 as a relief pitcher this year. In their batting lineup, their left fielder, Willie Calhoun, will go 2 for 4 with a run. The only other player with more than a run with more than 1 hit was their shortstop, Isaiah Kiner Falefa, who would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. For the Colorado Rockies, the start and the win went to Antonio Senzatella. He would allow 1 earned run in 7.2 innings pitched as he struck out 3 on the day. With this win, Senzatella is 2-5 as a starting pitcher. And then the save would end up going to Daniel Bard. Daniel Bard would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he struck out 2. That's his 6th save of the season. In their batting lineup, their left fielder, Ryan Tapia, will go 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and a run. Their center fielder, Jonathan Daza, would end up going 2 for 4 on the day. Their third baseman, Josh Fuentes, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs as Fuentes hit his 5th home run of the season. And then their shortstop, Garrett Hampson, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 22-34. That is the 4th best record in the National League West. They now trail the San Francisco Giants by 12.5 games in the division. The Rockies have now won 5 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 22-35. That is the worst record in the American League West. They now trail the Oakland Athletics by 10.5 games in the division. The Rangers have now lost 8 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Dodger Stadium, the defending champs hosted the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Dodgers would end up beating the Cardinals 14-3 after scoring all 11 of their 14 runs in the first inning. For the St. Louis Cardinals in this matchup, the start and the loss will go to Carlos Martinez. Martinez would allow 10 earned runs in .2 innings pitched as he struck out 1. With this loss, Carlos Martinez is 3-5 as a starting pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals. And then in their batting lineup, the only player with more than one hit was their center fielder, Dylan Carlson. Carlson would go 2-for-4 with an RBI and 2 runs as he hit his 6th home run of the season. And alongside him in their batting lineup, their elite first baseman, Paul Goldschmidt, would go 1-for-2 with an RBI and a run. Goldschmidt hit his 7th home run of the season for the Cardinals yesterday. For the defending champs, Los Angeles Dodgers, the start in the win would go to their elite starting pitcher, Walker Buehler. He allowed 3 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 8. With this win, Walker Buehler is 4-0 as a starting pitcher for the Dodgers this year. In their batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Mookie Betts, would go 3-for-4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs on the season. As the former American League MVP would hit his 17th double of the year. Their elite center fielder, former National League MVP Cody Bellinger, would go 2-for-4 with 6 RBIs and 2 runs as he would hit his first home run of the season yesterday after his long injury spell. He and Betts were the only 2 players with more than 1 hit for the Dodgers. And with this win for LA, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 33-23. That is currently the 3rd best record in the National League West. They now sit a game and a half behind the San Francisco Giants in the division. The Dodgers have now won 5 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are now 31-25. That is the 2nd best record in the National League Central. They now trail the Chicago Cubs by a game and a half in the division. The St. Louis Cardinals have now lost 5 of their last 10 games. Jumping out to Seattle, the Seattle Mariners hosted the Oakland Athletics, and the Athletics would beat the Mariners 6-0 after scoring 5 runs in the 3rd. For the Seattle Mariners, the loss would go to Chris Flexen. He allowed 5 earned runs in 6 innings pitched as he struck out 3. With this loss, Chris Flexen is now 5-3 as a starting pitcher on the year. The only player for the Mariners that actually had more than 1 hit was their second baseman, Jack Mayfield. Mayfield will go 2-for-3 on the day. For the Oakland Athletics, the start in the win went to Sean Manaea as he allowed no earned runs as he pitched all 9 innings. He would strike out 8 on the day, picking up a shutout on the season. With this win, Sean Manaea is 4-2 on the year. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Matt Olson, will go 3-for-4 with an RBI and a run. Their elite third baseman, Matt Chapman, will go 2-for-3 with a run. And then their shortstop, Elvis Andrus, will go 2-for-4 with a run as well. With this win, the Oakland Athletics are now 33-25. That is the best record in the American League West. They now sit half a game ahead of the second-place Houston Astros, as the Athletics have now won 5 of their last 10 games. With this loss, the Seattle Mariners are now 28-29. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West. They now trail the Oakland Athletics by 4.5 games in the division. The Mariners have now lost 3 of their last 7 games. That is what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Looking into what's going on today, because today is Thursday. Today is sort of a travel day. But of course, starting from the very top and going to the bottom at 12:20, the Atlanta Braves Tucker Davidson and the Atlanta Braves are going to host Patrick Corbin and the Washington Nationals at 12:20 in Truist Park. At 1:05, the New York Yankees, led by their elite starting pitcher Garrett Cole, are going to host the Tampa Bay Rays, led by Ryan Yarbrough. Garrett Cole currently holding a 6-2 record, he is holding in a 1.78 ERA. So of course, he's going to be a very big pitcher to look into this game. At 2:10 on ESPN+, Jake Odorizzi and the Houston Astros are going to host Martin Perez and the Boston Red Sox. At 3:10, Austin Gomber and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Mike Foltynewicz and the Texas Rangers. At 7:05, Tyler Anderson and the Pittsburgh Pirates are going to host Eliezer Hernandez and the Miami Marlins. At 7:40, Brett Anderson and the Milwaukee Brewers are going to host John Duplantier and the Arizona Diamondbacks. At 8:10, Lance Lynn and the Chicago White Sox are going to host Casey Mize and the Detroit Tigers. Lance Lynn holding a 6-1 record and a 1.37 ERA. Casey Mize, the young pitcher for Detroit, holding a 3-3 record and a 3.28 ERA so far this season. At 8:10, Chris Bubich and the Kansas City Royals are going to host J.A. Happ and the Minnesota Twins. Chris Bubich holding a 1-0 record and a 1.52 ERA. J.A. Happ holding a 3-2 record alongside a 5.24 1.84 ERA this season. At 8:15, Adam Wainwright and the St. Louis Cardinals are going to host Vladimir Gutierrez and the Cincinnati Reds. At 9:38, Griffin Canning and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Justice Sheffield and the Seattle Mariners. Griffin Canning holding a 4-3 record for LA alongside a 5.40 ERA. Justice Sheffield holding a 4-4 record alongside a 4.96 ERA. At 4:95, Anthony DeSclafani and the San Francisco Giants are going to host Zach Davies and the Chicago Cubs. Anthony DeSclafani holding a 4-2 record alongside a 3.56 ERA. Zach Davies holding a 2-2 record alongside a 4.65 ERA. And then at 10 o'clock, the San Diego Padres, led by their elite starting pitcher Yu Darvish, are going to host Taijuan Walker and the New York Mets. That's going to be at Petco Park. Yu Darvish is currently holding on to a 5-1 record and a 2.16 ERA. Taijuan Walker is holding on to a 4-1 record and a 1.84 ERA this season. Right now, that is what the MLB is looking like, and that is everything that I would say is going on with sports for today, Thursday, June 3rd, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. Once again, I hope all is well. I want to thank you for sitting with me as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. This is The Elite. I want to thank you for listening to all 35 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. Once all of today's matchups and exhibitions are finished, I will come back tomorrow with another installment of The Elite. And until then, I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.